So we're on verse 74 and 75 of Hatha Yoga Pradipika. By contracting the perineum, performing Uddiyana, and locking Ida and Pingala with Jalahara, Sushumna becomes active. So she's saying by contracting the root lock, performing Uddiyana lock, which is the navel lock, and then performing throat lock, the central channel will become active. By this means the prana and breath become still. Thus, death, old age, and sickness are conquered. Prana is in a constant state of flux in the body, sometimes being directed through the external senses, sometimes toward the internal organs. Sometimes prana shakti in Pingala predominates, and sometimes chitta shakti in Ida, and this creates various biorhythms and states of mind. The yogic practices moderate these fluctuations between the extremes of Ida and Pingala. And it is most important to remain aware in these extremes. It means developing the state of balanced awareness where the mind is neither extrovert nor introvert, no matter whether you are working, thinking, eating, or practicing asana or meditation. If you cannot maintain a state of conscious awareness while awake, then in deeper states, also, the awareness will be lost. When Sushumna awakens or when the breath stops, it should be a conscious experience. Only then can the experience of death be altered. Verse 76. The great siddhas practice these three best bandhas. I'm thinking the three best bandhas are root, navel, throat. Of all the sadhanas in Hatha Yoga and Tantra, the yogis know this practice, Mahabandha. Mahabandha is the great lock. It's the three locks that she's talking about. Though there are many techniques for establishing a state of equilibrium and union between mind and body, the most effective is said to be the combination of these three bandhas. Mahabandha is the culmination of asana, pranayama, mudra, and bandha. Perfection in it induces a state of perfect equanimity, which unfolds into pratyahara or even spontaneous dhyana. There are innumerable techniques which can be practiced in the path of self-realization, but many involve forced mental concentration or sensual restrictions. Therefore, it is difficult for the average person to apply himself to accomplish the task. However, it can be achieved by learning to control the body in such a way as given here without mental conflicts. Tantra approaches the problem of higher experience by being a friend of the mind. I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. Tantra approaches the problem of higher experience by being a friend of the mind and not an enemy. Therefore, no matter what a yogi's personal philosophy may be, the three bandhas are considered as important as eating, sleeping, and are as well known as ABC. Verse 77. The nectar which flows from the moon has the quality of endowing enlightenment, but it is completely consumed by the sun, incurring old age. Let me share. There's this picture. In various ancient texts of yoga and tantra, we come across the word ambrosia or nectar. The nectar is a fluid which is secreted from the top of the brain. Its source is the center named Bindu Visarga. In short, it is called Bindu, and it is symbolized by the crescent moon. Awareness of this tiny center has been maintained in India for many thousands of years, but with a religious accent. Hindus even today keep a tuft of hair at this point, which indicates their faith in religion. However, it has a much deeper significance. Bindu Visaga literally means the oozing point of the nectar drop. It is said that at this particular point, a tiny amount of fluid forms. It is like a tiny drop. This nectar begins to flow downward, and in the course of the lifespan, it is consumed by the lower centers, and old age is incurred. However, this process is not inevitable. This nectar has the capacity to enlighten the individual consciousness. But for that to occur, the consumption of the falling nectar must be averted so that it can be assimilated into the body. If this is accomplished, consciousness in that body becomes enlightened, and the body does not undergo the fate of mortal flesh, viz. Degeneration, decay, old age, and death. It follows another path. And as a result of the assimilation of nectar into the body, cellular preservation and rejuvenation take place. Enlightenment of human consciousness has never been interpreted in a religious fashion in the tantric tradition. It has always been known as a physiological possibility which can be induced within the body by certain practices. This is why in the tantric system, as opposed to religious philosophies, purification of the body, its 5 elements, pancha tattva, the pranas and nadis, is considered a prerequisite for enlightenment. If the body is loaded with toxic elements, if the pranas governing vital physiological functions are disrupted, and the automatic nervous system is in a state of imbalance, if the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, or the 5 chakras are not purified, then enlightenment of the body cannot occur. For this purpose, a few particular practices or kriyas are indicated in Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, and Tantra. Do you guys need me to pause there for a moment?
I had a quick question because I was up when you were saying it. It sounds like it's still talking about the same locks, correct?
Yeah, it's the root lock, the belly lock, and the throat lock.
Okay.
Yesterday, so the 5 elements are the tattvas, right? The tattvas?
Well, she's saying it's the 5 elements are pancha tattva. I think tattva is that whole idea of, remember it was tattva, I think is the word that's the concept, but pancha tattva, she's naming as the 5 elements.
Okay, so okay. And Ayurvedically, the 5 elements can be linked with or combinations of them can be used to describe the doshas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is stomach earth and lung around the lungs metal and around the heart fire? Is it similar to the Chinese medical ones?
I'm gonna pull it up. So Vata is air and ether, Pitta is fire and water, and Kapha is earth and water.
Oh,
so those are the elements associated with the 3 Ayurvedic doshas.
Yeah, that should be the lower one. Earth and water should be the lower one. Let's see if it's the same.
Yeah, earth and water is kapha, which is more grounded, more earthy, more ponderous almost
Mm-hmm.
than the other.
Is it the lower one? The one like closer to your pelvis?
It's not, the doshas are not like placed in the body. They're like our constitutions, they're called.
Okay.
And so an Ayurvedic practitioner, which Amanda is, can take your pulse, or just by looking at you, she can pretty much tell you what your constitution is.
Yeah.
And then based on that, in the Ayurvedic tradition or practices, then you would do, like for me, I always eat salad. I'm a very healthy eater. But then when you study Ayurveda and how deeply you practice it, like if I'm always putting in foods that aren't good for my constitution, it's not necessarily healthy for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just getting like I'm just agitating myself.
Mm.
And I don't have digestive problems, but a lot of people do, and they go to Amanda and she changes their diet or just offers them to change their diet, and I know they feel a lot better just because they're eating for their body. So I think she's mentioned, like, I think like I'm a mix, and then that's my like base constitution, and then there's another word, I can't remember it, but there's like what you are, and then there's what you are right now. So like she'll take your pulse and she'll say this is your constitution, but then you can figure out where you are right now, because we're constantly in imbalance. So like then your bottom might be too high, so you can bring that down, and then tomorrow this one might be too high. And like then you're also like the seasons are described in Ayurveda with the dosha, with the Vata, Kapha, Pitta, and then the times a day. So there's like constant rhythm going.
This is very familiar to me. Chinese medicine works on the same basics.
Yeah, it's like what we talk about in yoga. Like there's so many different traditions, but then it all comes down to the same idea. It's probably the same with Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. It's like the same ideas, we're just using different words.
And they all lead to the same result.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't follow Ayurveda like to the core there. I mean, but I do try now. Like my vegetables and my salads are more for like what my body should be eating. And I'm like, if I'm gonna eat healthy, if my intention is to eat healthy, I might as well do it the way my body wants me to do it. But
You end up balancing it out with soups.
I'm not a big soup eater, but this whole month I've been eating a lot of soups. But it's not like the soups, it's like what's in the soups. And of course, I feel like everybody that goes, like I remember when I took teacher training, because Amanda will go over this in teacher training. You'll have the whole course is structured around Ayurveda. But I also took her Ayurvedic workshop, and I do the cleanse every year. I do it twice a year. And everybody's doshas, like the food that was tied to it was like all their favorite things. Like all my favorite things are all the things I shouldn't be eating. But then you go back to brahmacharya, which is moderation. It's not like I cut it out of my diet completely. It's just that I'm more mindful of it. All right, we good? Should I keep going?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What happened?
Well, this one says reversing attitude. I wonder if this is similar to what we were just talking about, that Amanda talked about last night. I've never heard this word. So let's see. Verse 78 and 79. Viparita Karini Mudra, reversing attitude. There is a wonderful means by which the nectar is averted from falling into the opening of the sun. This is obtained by the Guru's instructions and not from the hundreds of shastras, treatises. With the navel region above and the palate below, the sun is above and the moon below. It is called Viparita Karini, the reversing process. When given by the Guru's instructions, it is fruitful. The moon emits its nectar, and due to the natural body process, it falls into the sun. The moon not only represents Bindu, but also consciousness. The sun not only represents Manipura, which is the navel chakra, but also prana from the body, but also prana, the body. From this, it can also be understood that the consciousness streams into the body and is wasted through the sense organs. Through the practice of Viparita Karini Mudra, we are directly concerned with reversing the flow of a fluid from the brain center. The process is reversed by reversing the natural upright body position. The force of gravity naturally pulls all body fluids down to the lower parts. By inverting the body so that the head is down and the feet are up, all the fluids flow back towards the head without undue force or pressure. There are various asanas which can also affect this, but the two most effective are Viparita Karini and Shirshasana. Let's look these. I think Shirshasana is headstand. So Viparita Karini is shoulder stand or legs at the wall. Well, this is, oh no, it's not shoulder stand. It's legs at the wall pose.
Well, on the next page, there's a picture and it looks
Yeah.
like a shoulder stand to me.
Yeah, I saw a picture too. Let me see, but on,
Oh, I see. And then they tell you the difference between Viparita Karini and Sarvangasana.
Sirasana is headstand, right?
I don't know. Is it?
No,
Uh,
I don't think so. But
Virasana?
we should keep reading because I think she's gonna explain it.
okay.
Let her rip.
Yeah, my Kindle pages have very less words than the book, so sometimes I don't see as far ahead. However, the effects of Viparita Karini differ from Sirsasana as it creates pressure in the throat, which stimulates the thyroid and awakens Vishuddhi chakra. Vishuddhi chakra is the throat. Sirsasana directly affects the cerebrum and Sarasara chakra, which is the crown chakra. Viparita is also a simpler posture than Sirsasana, but it should be learnt from the guru directly. The practice of Viparita Karini is similar to the shoulder stand. There it is, Sarvangasana, that shoulder stand. The
Right.
major difference is the angle of the back to the floor. In Sarvangasana shoulder stand, the back and leg should be perpendicular. In Viparita Karini, the back is maintained at a 45-degree angle to the floor and legs. This means the throat is not completely blocked and allows the flow of blood to the brain. Viparita Karini Mudra is the first Kriya practice in Kriya Yoga. Let me share.
So what's shown, it looks like Sarvangasana. That's Sarvangasana and Viparita Karini sounds like legs up the wall.
Well, so see in this picture here that his back is at a 45-degree angle
Hmm.
to the floor. She's saying that this is Viparita Karini, which when I Googled it, the internet is telling me it's legs at the wall. In shoulder stand, his hips would be
In line.
like
Over the
lined.
shoulder.
You know what I mean? Like his hips would be over his shoulders and his throat would be locked a little bit more.
I get it.
I looked up Sarasana. It's also a headstand.
Yeah, Sirsasana is headstand, but she didn't describe that one yet.
It's a
All right,
headstand
so-
pose in which the body is inverted and balanced on the crown of the head.
That is the smallest 45-degree angle I've ever seen, but okay.
But I guess that's what she's saying, right? Because she said on the other page, the Viparita Karini is the back is maintained at a 45-degree angle to the floor and legs. And the
Right.
throat is not completely blocked. I know in shoulder stand because I practice it myself.
Yeah, so basically when I try to do shoulder stand, what I'm really doing is Viparita Karini. Because I'm
Yeah.
not getting, my hips are never completely over my shoulders.
Well, and I don't know if you remember, but I told you the other day, like I have a hard time with this pose, with shoulder stand, I should say, and understanding it. So maybe I should start studying this one more too. But you know what? I love legs at the wall, so I'd rather just offer that. And another pose I really love is supported shoulder stand, where you come into like a bridge and slide a block under your low back and then just lift your legs up perpendicular to the floor. You're not getting the lock in the throat, but I just like having my legs upside down.
Yeah. All right, so this is Viparita Karini. Okay.
Do you guys want me to read the techniques? I don't mind, but if it's not going to be helpful, I can skip it.
You know something, maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not, but the interesting thing, she says at the beginning of this, do this with your guru. This is how you learn your guru. And I have a feeling it's both, because it could be dangerous. If you do it wrong, you could really hurt yourself. It could be dangerous. But the other thing is these differences that she's pointing out, are the kinds of things that a teacher spots in you.
Yeah.
You know, when I try to do shoulder stand and I asked Mary Claire, so are my hips up there yet? And she says, no, you're getting there, but they ain't there yet, And I say, well, too bad. And then I roll down, and it's good to have a teacher there for this.
Yeah.
So that's my feeling about reading the techniques, which is.
Okay, I don't mind reading them. I'll read them. I'll read the techniques, and then I'll pause after, and we'll pick up tomorrow because it's already 8:01. I'm watching the time before the alarm goes off.
Alexandra, I set an alarm because I thought it's unfair that Pam is always the timekeeper. So.
Yes, mine just turned 8:01 on my oven, so.
Okay. So lie in relaxed supine position on a blanket. An example, Shavasana. Then supine is laying on your back, or like back facing down. It's not just back. I had to learn supine and prone in yoga teacher training, because like your palm down it's not just your back down, but it's like your palm facing down versus facing up. You guys may already know that, but it took me a little figuring out. Then bring the legs together, palms of the hands on the floor besides the body. Raise the legs, bringing them a little behind the head so that the back rises, and support the back with the hands. Raise the legs in the air, feet toward the ceiling, not pointed, making the back at a 45-degree angle to the floor. Support the lower back with the hands, keeping the elbows behind on the floor. The hands can be adjusted so that you are steady. Either they should hold the buttocks or the side of the waist. Remain in position for as long as possible, breathing normally. Concentrate on the throat center. When you come out of the position, slowly lower the back onto the floor, keeping the legs raised. Keep the palms of the hands on the ground and slowly lower the legs, keeping them straight. If this is too strenuous, bend the knees to the chest and place the soles of the feet on the floor. Then slide the legs onto the ground. Completely relax the body in Shavasana. Stage 2. Practice stage 1 and include Ujjayi Pranayama in the final position. Ujjayi Pranayama is that breath we always practice in yoga, that you slightly restrict at the breath at the back of the throat, and it makes that audible sound. Stage 3, practice stage 2 and include Kachari Mudra with Ujjayi Pranayama. I think Kachari Mudra is when we look at the third eye, right? I think it's the eyebrow gaze. I'm gonna look it up just to make sure. Oh no, it's the tongue. Oh, it's the tongue one, remember? Because I said the Kachari and Kichari.
Kichari.
Yeah, so Kachari Mudra is the tongue one. Let me look up what the eyebrow one is.
Are there two different ones, Kichari and Ketchari?
Kichari is the food, Kachari is the mudra.
Got it.
Shambhavi is the eyebrow. One of these days, everything will stick.
Well, it's going to be one of those years for me.
Yeah, one of these years. I mean, it's been a long time. Learning Sanskrit, it was challenging because you're really learning another language, and our brains are meant to learn other languages when we're young babies. Like a child can learn another language very quickly, but I haven't practiced learning another language in a very long time. So
I'll say, me too.
It's very hard. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't.
When did you start?
Start what?
Learning this.
I took my teacher training in 2017. But Sanskrit learning is not something I practice consistently. So It's not like I have all my index cards I made, but it's not like my intention is to take them out and study them. But then maybe in 21 it'll be my
Life and
plan,
everything.
my structure. All right, so I'll pause there we'll pick up tomorrow there.
Okay. Where did I put my?
I think it's easier for me to learn the Sanskrit for the practices and poses I use. So like the poses I teach and the poses I do, I can pick up the Sanskrit faster. I also don't teach in Sanskrit, so I don't make an effort to memorize it, but I should. What I love
One way
about
to practice it.
What?
It's one way to practice it, which is to decide you're going to use a couple of Sanskrit words during teaching for a couple of weeks, and that might help.
Yeah.
Oh, timer.
There's our timer.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't exactly like this opposite thinking, but I like the idea that the opposite thinking was brought to my attention last night, and now we have reverse attitude, which could be like, I love that idea, reverse attitude, but you have it mentally for changing your thought, and then you have it physically by reversing your legs up, like turning your body upside down too.
I like that.
I feel like I slept so good last night. I'm so hyper.
Yeah.
I haven't even had coffee yet. There are days I'll be like, I probably don't even need a cup of coffee today. I'm so wired, but I love the taste of it so much. And I'm like, I'm not letting myself skip a day.
Yeah.
It's my treat for work, my coffee.
Yep. I do that too.
I don't like the taste. I drink it for its benefits.
Oh, really? I put a lot of sugar sweetener in it too, but I only have 1 cup of coffee, and that's my big sugar thing.
Well, that's the only way I could drink it.
Yeah,
tastes
with
like
sugar.
candy. Yeah, if it tastes like
Sweetener?
candy, I could
Yeah.
drink it.
Do you drink it every day?
No, I never was a coffee drinker. I started maybe 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was in college. And then I would do it sporadically.
Do you drink tea?
No, I'm not too much. I prefer hot water over, just because I feel like they wipe me out, some teas.
Yeah. I do when I meet us in the morning, and I drink hot water with a little ginger and turmeric powder in it.
Yeah, like this morning I had hot water and lemon.
Yeah.
Last night I did have chai tea. I like it as a treat with milk and a little bit of agave.
Yeah.
But then I'm out cold. So maybe it's a good thing.
Oh.
But it wipes me out.
All right. So we'll set up for alternate nostril breathing and meditation.
Okay.
Finding a nice tall seat and slight engagement in the core. Give yourself a body scan. Start to bring the attention to the present moment. Notice what thoughts are flowing by, but not attaching self to them. Relaxing face and tongue, jaw, and then bringing attention to the breath. Check in how you're breathing, just notice. Then begin to manipulate it, breathing longer, filling up the low belly. And then exhaling completely, letting all the air out. Your eyes might be open or closed, but find that point of focus, something to bring your attention to. And bring your right hand over to your face. Right thumb closes right nostril. Inhale through your left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. close right, exhale left. Continuing on your own breath, a few more rounds, adding retention if it's in your practice. You'll take your time to finish. I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. Exhaling out through your left nostril when you're done. Bringing hands to your heart. Namaste.
Thank you, Pam.